Hi, everybody. I just wanted to give a quick summary of the process that I went through to discover my optimal value proposition, which is my OVP. So it's really important that you start with really the basics and the fundamentals, because when you're trying to create a marketing message, it really has to be attractive, it has to have a hook, and it has to be really, really easy to understand. So you really want to start very basic and very fundamental. So I start with, where is my avatar's attention? And at the moment, it's really about the anxiety about US-China relations and a rising China that exerts its influence against businesses and individuals that disrespect its core principles. So this is really where everybody in my community that I'm trying to reach, this is where their attention is, okay? And the second thing is what is the reality of my avatar? So my avatar principally is an American business expat in China, but more broadly, it's any non-Chinese who's doing business in China. But from the American point of view, my avatars are in the midst of a sea change paradigm shift. Okay, and this is a shift in all aspects of how people communicate, how people work together, how people do business together. And even if you're not American, you're experiencing the paradigm shift of a rising China, whereas you might have been used to really the American system being the more dominant globally and geopolitically. Okay, so the next is, you really have to understand, based on where their attention's at and what their current reality is, what are the consequences, implications, and ramifications of what is going on for your audience. And in my case, I've categorized implications into what are the social implications, what are the geopolitical implications, and how does it affect doing business and what I call business norms. So obviously, socially, there are consequences and ramifications of free expression, and we saw that with the NBA China situation with Daryl Morey's tweet. So the consequences affect individuals, and obviously it affects individuals and businesses who are doing business in China. As far as business norms, what was once considered global best practices was basically how Americans did business. But best practices are really continuing to evolve at a really accelerated rate because of China's rising influence. And that is something that my audience would really care about understanding how to solve or how to resolve. Geopolitically, a lot of this, the trends of a lot of this paradigm shifts has a lot of implications, especially for Americans. So one of those is the goodwill that Americans are generally afforded or given by foreigners is going to be less, because America is losing its kind of standing and position across the world. And and also, as we said, the efficacy of the American approach. So the way that Americans behave, the way they communicate. I think in a lot of countries, a lot of people already didn't like a way a lot of Americans behave, but now they're getting more and more emboldened to really express their disgust or dissatisfaction with an American kind of approach, because now there is a counter to the American way, and that is China. Okay? So on the other side of this equation, it really is important to simplify, and simplify. So what do we want to simplify? First, we want to understand, what is the primary question that people who have their attention on this, in my case, rising China, and their current reality of a sea change paradigm shift, the consequences, ramifications, and implications. So what is the fundamental primary question? How do I adjust my standard approach for doing business in China? Okay. Obviously, adjustments have to be made given all the things that are going on in the world and the trends of a rising China? So that is the fundamental question. And then the fundamental solution for me will be to explain, to teach, to train, to provide a solution that really tells my audience and my clients and my avatars how to make the right adjustments and how to adapt. So whatever approach you are using here in America, when you take it to China, what adjustments that you have to make and how do you adapt it to work within the Chinese system and to work within the Chinese culture. And then a lot of times you may not have to change or adjust anything at all, but it's really about how you package what you are trying to present and how you communicate it more effectively. So part of the solution is to understand how to make the right adjustments and to adapt whatever solution you have or approach that you have. And the second would be to how to package, present, and communicate it more effectively, either when you're doing business in China or when you're just communicating with Chinese people in your home country, and in my case, in America. Okay, so this is kind of the thought process that I went through to discover my optimum value proposition, and this is what I'm also going to talk about during our Zoom call tomorrow. All right, so I hope this helps.